going. Wanted to record some more. My health was getting better for 2 days. Went back to bad today. So it goes. I learned some interesting things yesterday that I kind of want to share. That honestly really helped me with just handling this whole body thing. So this is where I want to start. So I was listening to this podcast and it was about body positivity, and it was by a woman for women. I came across it super randomly. Didn't think, that I would end up actually needing it or liking it as much as I did. It really shone some light listening to that on how much of my personality and characteristics are built around my club feet, and that actually really has dictated a lot of my behaviors and my, confidence, whatever, like everything has kind of been shaped by my club feet and my lack of awareness and attention to my legs and calves. And so, I was listening to this podcast, and it was just really cool to kind of like be able to relate with a lot of what she was saying and just be like, damn, like there was a lot of self work that I need to do in regards to my legs and body positivity. So, what does that actually mean to me? I don't want to just throw those blank ass words out there. And she made some really good points in that there's a lot of unlearning that has to be done in terms of health, or not even health in my condition, just, looking, I guess, abnormal with some sort of virtue. So, like, I am not less than others because my legs look a certain way. And even though I feel like that's how I've been brought up to think, and that's how I think now, is that okay, like if my body isn't up to perfect shape, my life is worth less than others. And I feel like that's why I'm constantly like, am I eating enough? Am I working out enough? Am I exercising enough? Because in a weird way, I like place so much importance on my body, in that it's like if my body doesn't work, then I don't deserve, like I am not worthy of life or love, or and I feel like that's something that I need to like fundamentally change in how I view myself, and so what I'll come back to that, but while I was thinking about that, I came to realize something when I was sitting in the car. um I was thinking that now that I'm alone, as opposed to like when Umar was here, even when I lived with others, it's a lot harder to do some actions. Certain actions just aren't that compelling anymore. And so I was thinking, I was like, okay, where does that come from? So let me flush out what I'm trying to say. So what I'm trying to say is that, let's say there's a behavior called good. Like, let's say I value XYZ behaviors to be good. They're virtuous behaviors. And when I'm around people, I constantly do X, Y, and Z. But as soon as I'm alone, I no longer do X, Y, and Z. Why is that the case? And I was, in the car, and I was just thinking about it for a little bit. And this is kind of what I came up with. Okay, so if I do a certain thing because, and this comes back to like, older thoughts. I don't know if I can explain all of this in like a couple seconds, but my quick understanding of adjectives is that you cannot be any of them. There's no such thing as being good or being bad, or those are all just concepts in the eyes of others, for other people to be able to understand you, not for me to understand me. I can never be good. I can just be. I can't be any of those things. I can't be Gautam. But to someone else, I can be those things because they need some way of figuring out whether I'm a safe or whether I'm, dangerous to have around. So in that I can't be good, when I do a certain action because I feel like that is a good action or that makes me seem like a good person, in essence, the only reason I'm doing that is for others. So what I was thinking is there is no possible world where I do a certain action that I ascribe some sort of like adjective to, where I'm not doing it for others. So for example, and it doesn't have to be the same actions for everyone, but let's say for me, for example, um, I believe brushing my teeth is good because makes my breath stink, which not stink, which helps me communicate with people, which make X, Y, and Z. And I've given some sort of virtuous meaning to brushing my teeth twice a day. It means something. But if I was in a jungle, would I do it? Like, I would probably be a little more lazy about it. Maybe some days I just wouldn't do it. Maybe I wouldn't do it. If I was alone, like, would I be tweaking that I didn't have access to a toothbrush if I just didn't have a toothbrush? No. And so I was going down the list and I was like, there are so many actions that are not immediate to your survival that you place some sort of virtue to. So, eating, for example, like, would I just eat the bare minimum to survive and not be hungry if I lived in a jungle? Yeah, but I eat more. Why? Because, being big has virtues, X, Y, and Z has virtues. And it's like almost all of what I do to some extent is for others. I don't know what I would do if I'm alone kind of right now, more than I have been in a long time. And like, I'm just a lot less motivated to like do a lot of things because I'm like, okay, like if no one sees that I'm good, like what's the point of being good? So let's say like I'm hardworking, I meditate, X, Y, and Z. Those things are a lot more rewarded if there's someone else to actually validate that you're doing those things. Like, oh, look at him, he's such a hard worker. Would I be a hard worker if no one was going to see that I worked hard? Like, I don't care. Like, what's the point? Like, I feel like insofar as much as it immediately affects your survival, you do some certain things. If there's other people, you fall into that whole cycle. But if I'm alone, there's just no point of me doing anything as long as I can survive, which is just crazy in that. So what this means is not that I shouldn't do those things. What this means is I have to redefine definitions in my head for why I do things. That's what this whole conversation comes down to. Because right now, the way my mental patterns are held up is that I only do things to appear a certain way, not to actually just be that, you know? So, like, okay, brush my teeth. I cannot do it for other people. I feel like everything in my mind has been set up in a certain way that it's done for others. And so, I mean, everything. Nothing is really done for myself. So, I have to really unlearn that. So yeah, man, back on body positivity, I feel like I have to just like spend a lot more time just working on my legs, working on my feet, like showing love to it through the hard work that I put on them. I feel like I've like neglected them a lot and much less recently, but yeah, man, my worth is not tied to my body. My worth is not even tied to whether people like me. My worth is not, I have no worth, which means my worth can't be necessarily like tied to like people's impressions or thoughts or because there's just no worth at all, in retrospect to like a large scale of just existence, not like oh like you have no value in like a small circle. Um, but yeah, man, those are some things I was thinking about yesterday. I feel like these last couple of days not feeling so good has like been on my mind, um, and I want to just like show my body more love and not so like get better, get better. If you don't get better, no one's gonna love you, no one's gonna like you. Get better immediately, and replace that with more like hey, like I see that something is not right. There's some bacteria or something that's just messing your stomach and body up. I hear that and I feel that, but you are still loved. We will get through this, where it's just like a different mindset altogether. It's not like if you don't get better by tomorrow, no one's gonna love you. Like it's just so much more like just toxic. But I don't like using those words because it's like toxic, like there's some cat, but you know. So I don't even want to use words like toxic anymore. But I just meant like it's not. I just beneficial, whatever. Um, yeah. Have a good one.